Hey folks, Chris Gordon back with you. Good morning. As I promised yesterday when I posted the second half of Abigail's Crossing, I was going to show you a bonus. And let me show you where some of the ideas that I had in terms of variations. Yesterday's workout, or the part from Abigail's Crossing intro, was this. And I want to address these, because those are the arpeggios that I've done alterations to. Okay, so if you remember yesterday, this guy I affectionately called the Yngwie Malmsteen diminished shape. What we're going to do with that is we're going to spread it out on one string. So I'm going to have E, G, and B flat on the high E string. Two minor third patterns. You can use your first, the second, and fourth, or your first, third, and fourth, whatever works more comfortably for you. And I'm hammering and pulling them off. Kind of a familiar sound in the shred genre. You've all heard that before if you're into that style. What we do from there is we're going to skip the B string completely, and because of the nature of these diminished arpeggios, I'm going to be able to, I'm going to skip the B string, play the same exact shape on the G string, and basically it's an inversion of what I already did on the E string. And those notes are G, B flat, and D flat. Pick, pull, pull, pick, pull, pull, hammer, hammer. Pick, hammer, and hammer. Or just roll it. There's tons of permutations you can do on these. Alright, so now we have that much. Now I'm going to add one more element here. I'm going to skip the D string and go right to the A string. And when I go to the A string, I have to shift a half step up to stay in key, to keep the diminished, these diminished seventh arpeggios in the same inversion, if you will, or an inversion of itself. So I'll have a B flat, a D flat, and an E. It's a little funky having to do that half step shift. But just shed that a bit. Okay, and just like yesterday's shape, Yngwie shape, that moved up a minor third, we can do the same thing with this. Same exact shape, just a minor third up. So I've got my G, my B flat, and my D flat here. I skip to the G string. I got my B flat, my D flat, and my E. I skip the D string, go right to the A string, and again that shift, we got that half step shift to concern ourselves with. We got the D flat, the E, and the G. So together, it's kind of cool, slippery, little diminished effect. The way I'm shifting that, by the way, I'll just break that down real quick. I pick, I'm going to do two pull-offs. I go to the G string, I'm going to pick again, do two pull-offs. I'm going to go to the A string, I'm going to pick two pull-offs. Rehammer, go back to the G string, pick, and hammer on those two notes. Pick on the high E, hammer, hammer. Then I'm going to pull off back to that E. And the purpose for that is that's my launch to slide into the next diminished pattern, a minor third up. So and there, when I slide up, I hammer on, then begin to pull off, descent, and rehammer. So that's kind of a good little just snapshot of the idea. And it's pretty, just straight descend, ascend. And it takes the place of these. Okay, so we now come to this. B minor. And what I did with this is I borrowed from the idea I just did with the 3-note per string patterns for the diminished, and I made the B minor a 3-note per string pattern. Again, not sweeping it, but more of a legato thing, and added some notes. So in essence, it's really a pentatonic at this point. And what that is I have the F sharp, the A, which is my minor 7th in B minor here, and my B. I skipped the B string to the G string. I got my A, my B, and my D. I skip my D string, go right to my A string. Luckily, there's no shifts here. I don't have to do any half-step moves or anything. I can stay in the position, which is 14th position. And here I'm going to have my B, my D, and my E. So that E is like the 11th. It's kind of a nice alternative sound to sweeping it. But I'm not going to stop there. I'm going to add some notes. I'm going to go from a 3-note per string idea to a 4-note per string idea. And the way to do that is I'm going to add a tap note. Alright, and what that is I've got, I'm going to, on the high E string, I'm going to tap a D, then pull off. I'm going to skip to the G string, skipping over the B string, go right to the G string. I'm going to tap an E. Go right to the A string, skipping over the D. I'm going to tap an F sharp. So obviously the tap notes are just reiterations of notes that are already in this shape. So you get this kind of big expanded sound, and intervallically pretty cool. And I've always felt that the wider the interval, the scarier the lick sounds. There's just something about wide intervals that make it sound really scary in a good way. So there we have this idea. Including right into that idea, which is kind of neat. As far as the way I'm tapping that, I don't really have a rhyme or reason. It's usually the middle finger. Sometimes it's the index, but it's 9 times out of 10 the middle finger and the ring finger, especially with string skips. The other thing I want to talk about real quick here is how I'm ascending this. Anybody familiar with Greg Howe is probably familiar with the technique that he really brought to the spotlight, the hammering on from nowhere, which is an awesome technique, and it took me some time to get used to it. What it is if I descend this particular lick, I'm leading with my tap finger. Tap, pull, tap, tap. And that's pretty natural feeling. It's not, we're used to starting a note with this hand, right hand for right-handed players, left hand for left-handed players, whatever it is. The picking hand is usually the one that's used to starting the tones on any particular string. But so tapping to start a note, to me seems relatively natural. However, when you reascend this, I'm not going to, get everything out of the way to pick a note to voice that string. The most efficient and fluid way to do it, as Greg Howe himself has shown the masses in such a great way, is you hammer on from nowhere, which is his technique. And you tap. Now I've got this going, and then this index on the fretting hand is going to come hammering down on that A of the 3rd string. So if you're not used to the technique, it'll take a little time, but not too long. You pick it up pretty quick. Many players use these. You see the little hairband here. I probably use this more because of the 7th string than for any other person. I actually don't have it. It's not really on the strings at the moment, but they are helpful. They're really, really helpful. And they actually clean up your tone really nicely. But anyway, with or without it, this technique can be mastered. So there, hammer, 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 tap, hammer. And just work with that. And obviously, in full mode, if you will, hammer, tap, and then I release that tap to make room for that note. Just like when I was talking yesterday about rolling the finger when you're sweeping. You're rolling off the string to give the next note its time in the spotlight, if you will. The same thing here. You get off that note, and you just follow through. Okay? Do that until the neighbors throw something through your window. Anyway, so that is the idea. So together, one more time, just that section. Okay? In context, you know, I kind of take a little bit of liberty. I extend the bar a little bit. So here it is. And then so obviously I'm extending the bar to cram all these notes in, but I like that effect. It kind of pulls it out a little bit, which is kind of nice. Okay, so here we go, the whole sequence with the alterations. All right. Stay tuned. Part 3 of Abigail's Crossing is coming up next week. I've also got a lot of other things coming out soon too. So I will talk to you soon.